We now come to a fork in the road. You've watched these videos all the way through, and so you have a very good idea of what's stored ahead for you. Now, you may decide that it's too hard, or what you want to do is to buy a complete finished printer, take it home, unwrap it, plug it in, switch it on and go. You've got no concerns about how it works, you just want the end product and that's all what you want. But then you may have come this far and said, hey, these are some challenges, I could learn a lot of stuff from this and I'm interested. You've then made the big decision and spent the $500 and you've ordered your printer and it's arrived and you followed the instructions up to this stage and you've built it. You would have come with if you had followed my instructions, you would have come with extremely neat and tidy looking printer. And don't forget, this is not finished, this is only after the build has been completed, not the decoration side and the trimming to the way you want it to look and all that sort of stuff. So now we're up to the power on stage. That's where it either works or it goes poof and a big cloud of magic blue smoke. So before you nervously press that button, there's a few things you need to do. Check your power supply, make sure it's set to 12 volts, 12.0, 12.1, around there. Then check all your wiring, black to black, red to red, and all that sort of stuff. But also, especially things like the table, if you followed my example and you've taken on and off, some of the wires may have been squashed when you initially screw them into the connectors, and moving on they've got loose. So check all your screw-in connections, make sure they're okay. Check all your limit switch connections, make sure they're in the correct order. Again, space X, space Y, probe Z. And the one with the 4 pins is the very end one that you don't use. So that's those. Make sure you've got your stepper motors connected in the right position, the right colours, X, Y, Z, and extrusion on the far side. And just on that, I had a problem with one of my steppers, is that when I pulled the plug apart and put it back together, I pushed all the pins in, and even though I tightened up the loop, the brass loop, you'll see, one wasn't tight enough, and so when I pushed it in, it wouldn't sit on the pin, it would sit on top of the pin. And so when the home switches end stops were going, it was vibrating and that was causing some problems. As you can see by this photo, it was going up and then it started going down. So I'll talk about that a bit later and how to fix it and what to do in case you do have a problem. So okay, so you're 100% confident that everything is connected properly. So then it's time to get out the old computer and fire it up. You have the Arduino board, and that's controlled by Arduino software. Then you have 2 additional layers of software, maybe 3. The Marlin software is sort of part with the Arduino. So the Arduino is a board, the Marlin is instruction to the Arduino board, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. Then you have 2 other software. One's called Pronterface, like printer with an O, and one is Slicer. Slicer, I'll just explain the process. You come up with a fantastic thing you want to build. Might be a vase, or somebody's skull, your fingers, or whatever. So you design it up in your software, depending on what you use. It can be like SolidWorks, Inventor, the OpenCAD system. There's lots of various ones, and you've made it. Or you've just downloaded it on the web, you Google through this 3 million models you can choose. Okay, so I've got that. So it comes up with a shape. I just say the shape's like your hand. The Arduino side and the Marlin side controls the mechanics of the electrics and send this ... or 00, this part, this voltage, this pulse, boom, 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 boom. So that's the computer management of the actual motor inside. So that's the control system inside. Then you have your slicer. Now to print, it prints per layer. So if you've got your fingers and you slice, just say that's 150 mil, and you had 1 millimeter steps, layers, you'd have 150 layers. And the shape would be the cross section. So here it will be that wide, but up here there'd be your thumb and your palm. Up here would be just your fingers, little round bits, no thumb. and up like that. So it's, if you got cardboard and you drew out the shape and cut them all out and stack them up and glue, and you'd have a hand. So that's how that works. So that's what Slicer does. Slicer gets the STL model that you've exported from your CAD program or from your download, and it slices it up, hence the name. So then you then got a cross section. Now it's not like here we can add bones and blood and tissue and all that. It's just the shape. So most 3D printers are just interested in the outside, the shell of the item. You have the shell, which is then a thicker skin. But in the end, you want to fill it up. If you fill it up with air, what's this going to sit on? There's nothing to print to. So it puts a filler in, just say fill it up with a foam. So it's a bit of a honeycomb sort of shape, and you decide how thick or how dense you want it, and that's where you decide, okay, I want this shape, I want it that dense. Slicer gives you the shape, goes over, and you worked out what filament you're going to use and all that sort of stuff, and it's going, and then Prontoface goes, okay, you want to do, just say this section through here, you want to draw that section of your thumb there, and you want to do that bit of the wrist. Okay, that's in that position on the table, and you know, here's your thumb and here's your wrist. Okay, now how high up is that from when we started? Okay, where's that in the X direction? Where's that in the Y direction? Where's that in the Z direction? Which direction are we going? Where's the next point? You know, so it works out all these points. So that actually controls, a bit like Mach 3, controls the G code that's generated. So it does all the controlling like that. So you need to download those software. You might have a late model laptop, PC. Oh yeah, I've got Windows 8 or Windows 9, Windows 10 or Windows XP, whatever you got. Great. Oh, we get the latest version of Arduino. Don't know what it's up to, 1.6 or something. And you put it on. And then you have to download the software that Zentron will give you the link to. There'll be the link to it at the end in the QR, like all my videos. They mention the videos, tools, whatever, websites. The links are at the end. So you just get your camera, pause at the very last, take a photo with your smartphone, and it should have a barcode reader, and it'll list all the links, and you just click on there and all that sort of stuff. So you've got that, and you have then downloaded the software, and it tells you, oh yeah, you install Arduino, installs nice, and tells you, okay, this is the Marlin. If you're using this particular LCD, square or shorter one, not the long one, you have to make sure you download the correct Marlin stuff for that, and that will be on the website as well. You then have to upload a config file from whichever Marlin flavor you're using Arduino to the MegaBoard. So you go up and you hit go, and it's reading away, and you wait and error. Oh, okay, what did I do wrong? So you go and try again, another error. You know, couldn't config, couldn't write it, couldn't transfer across. You know, what have I done wrong? First time, you know. What it is that a lot of Arduino software has libraries and code and all this sort of stuff. And version 0.01 might have said, okay, that's here and that's there and that's over there. Version 0.2 might say, oh, that's over here now. Oh, that's called that, that's called this. So as all the different software comes along, different libraries, different this, different that, you get one piece of code and it says, look in the left drawer for this particular file. It looks, it's not there. It might be in the right drawer called something else. It doesn't know. So it says, hey, you're telling me to look there, I can't find it. So this is where you get the problem. So what you have to do is make sure you get the right version of Arduino for the software that you're using. Not the latest computer, not your Windows 10 or Windows 8 or Windows 7. The latest software that suits the code you're using to run the Arduino. After a lot of stuff around, I've managed to find the one for Windows 8 64-bit machine. So it is Arduino 1.0.5 R2 revision 2. There'll be the link for that. So I uninstalled the 1.6, whatever it was I had, installed the 1.05 R2, and same config file, ran fantastic. Once that's done, you're home and hosed almost. On the software side of things, there's some add-ins. You'll see folder add-ins. There's some libraries and some hardware. So you need to copy those files over to the library file in the Arduino area on your laptop or your computer where it is installed to. So that means that it says, oh, I want this LCD type screen, and it is in the Arduino library. The Arduino library doesn't look anywhere else except for the Arduino library. So you've got all that, it's found it, and you said, right, fantastic. I'm up to that stage. you can load up the Megaboard anytime. It doesn't have to be connected, it can be in a free state. So you've done that, you're sweet. So that's the biggest problem people have to start with, and it sort of sets them back a bit what's going on. So once you've done that, you've got your Arduino board, you then also download it and install the slices in the Prontoface, and you're up to the next power on stage. So that's what we're going to do. This was the software, quick overview of the software. Now this is the magic smoke stage.